Mr. Patrick, would you like to lead some?
Let's bow our heads. Lord, gracious Heavenly Father, it's a privilege to come to you and ask your blessings on this meeting. Lord, you are the great giver of all good gifts, and we ask that you just give us a good meeting tonight. Help us to have your wisdom, Lord, and that we would behave and again, do your business, Lord. This is all your business, and we just want to, again, thank you for all the people here tonight. Thank you for the interest, Lord. Give us clear speech and ears to hear. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in pledge allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, under unfinished business number 2, we have the approval of the minutes of the September the 28th, 2021, the regular scheduled board meeting. Commissioner Searcy, any errors or omissions in those minutes?
No, sir.
Commissioner Patterson?
No, I do not. We're good.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion that we approve the minutes of the September 28th, 2021, the regular scheduled board meeting.
I make a motion.
Ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes, sir.
And also on the same line, under unfinished business, the approval of the minutes of the September 30th, 2021 special call meeting. Commissioner Patterson, any errors or omissions in those?
No, I do not.
Commissioner Searcy?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the September 30th, 2021 special call meeting. I'll make that motion. Ask for a second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no other business. Ms. Cronbacker with Project Chimps.
Hello.
Okay, how are you?
Yeah.
I believe you received our application to retire 5 more chimps to Blue Ridge Mountains. Usually on this package you only get their ID numbers because as laboratory chimps they are tattooed, and in the official records of when they were used in medical research they are only identified by their tattoo numbers. So that is their official legal name. However, they are also known by Angelic, Veronica, Sheena, Zena, and Lizzie. So those are the 5 that we are requesting approval to come join us for retirement. We happen to know that Veronica is the mother of one of the chimps who already resides with us, who was one of the very first chimps who arrived back in 2016. And Sheena is the mother of Jacob, who is one of our youngsters. He was only born in 2010, so he did actually spend his first couple of years with his mom, so he'll get to be reunited with her when she gets here. All right.
Great.
Can I ask you, what kind of, when you say testing, what kind of testing do they do?
So the laws changed in 2015, so technically they are all retired from testing at this point. But back then, our chimps that we know of were using a different variety of testing. Hercules and Leo were the most studied. They had electrodes embedded into their muscles and then were forced to walk bipedally, like we do, on 2 legs versus 4, for what chimps normally do. And those electrodes were then studied on how their muscles interacted with each other as they walked. We don't know why.
I'd be glad to be retired too.
So a variety of random testing with as many chimps as there are. It runs the gamut.
And so they come here and they finish their lifespan
That is the goal, so we say we're gonna let them sunset in the mountains.
That's cool. Everybody else does. All right.
How many will this make?
We have 77 at present, so add 5 more to that, and I guess that's 82.
How many people, work
We have 34 employees, 186 volunteers, and each semester up to 8 student interns. Right now we have 5 student interns for the fall semester.
wow, it's awesome.
Did you say students? Is that what?
Yep. And we are hoping to partner with UNG eventually as they get their ball rolling and offer a primate specific course through the Blue Ridge campus, which of course then the students there could come and actually do.
Is it
hands-on
college
stuff.
students? High
For the interns, yes.
Okay, college students.
Yeah, but high school students are welcome to volunteer in our volunteer program.
How many, do you have a max that you can, I mean,
Our current enclosures would max out at 100 chimps. Again, we have been hoping to do that expansion. It was put off, of course, with the pandemic in order to fundraise for capital in addition to operating. When we can resume that, we are looking at a $15 million expansion in order to build additional structures that would house additional chimps. But chimp structures are very chimp-proof, therefore they're expensive.
right.
Anything else, Commissioner Searcy?
Now, do they eat a lot of bananas, like they say?
They do love bananas.
Yeah.
And there's a church group, and forgive me for forgetting what church group it is, but they have been coordinating a food bank for their members all summer long, and apparently their members don't like bananas. So at the end of each food distribution to their human patrons, they've been bringing us the extra bananas.
So y'all have an abundance of bananas now.
We have had an abundance of bananas. Our freezers are well stocked with some frozen bananas too, because the chimps shouldn't have that many bananas at one time either.
Right. Not good for them.
Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else, gentlemen, before we?
I'm good.
I'm fine.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion that we allow these 5 chimps to retire here in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Or it'll actually be more than them, I guess, but.
It would be.
more
In
than
the
We can
mountains.
say thank you.
In the mountains.
Yes.
In the mountains. So I'll ask for that motion.
I make a motion.
Ask for a second.
I say,
All in favor?
Uh,
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll let you know when they get here.
all right, thank you. There's a picture of them. Fighting over banana.
Number 4 under new business, it's going to be board approval on some software equipment for Fannin County Animal Control. Been trying to do a little bit more digging in the last few days to see if there's anything that might actually be a little bit cheaper on us moving forward. I know the Shelter Pro software was it was a little pricey as far as startup, and even the annual subscription was a little bit high, and I just wanted to make sure before we voted on anything that we're gonna get the right software for our animal control, because of, I mean, it's kinda like, the analogy I would use is kinda like having a Chevy with a 454 engine. It's there if you need it, but how many times you gonna need it?
Right, the pilot.
So, yeah, so, I wanna make sure that we're making the right decision moving forward. The Shelter Pro software is really good software. It will do everything that we need it to do. But again, the annual cost, and it's budgeted, the budget that we looked at for animal control, it would be well within our budget to do that. Just wanna make sure that making the right decision moving forward. So, and again, I changed that from board approval to board discussion. So if you guys want to, if you have anything that you'd like to discuss about that or even say about it.
Well, this, I guess, is part of the upgrade that we've been doing, the board's been doing down there, correct?
It is.
So we're just upgrading all the equipment that, basically, that they're gonna need
Yeah. And
computer-wise.
basically, we've never had any software on computer down there.
Really?
Yeah, we've never had anything that would make it easier. It would make it more efficient for us moving forward.
And also, that'd be accurate records.
It'd be accurate records, and we could look it up at any given time. And,
So you'd have access to it from
We
the
would.
commissioner's office.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
That
You guys can have access if you wanted it from
sounds
your
great,
location,
though, as
so.
long as, I mean, in the long run, I think if it's gonna help them, it's also gonna help us too.
Absolutely.
Right.
So,
Be more efficient.
yeah,
So,
accountable.
Right.
just wanted to make sure that we looked into, and there's a couple other software companies we're really gonna look at a little bit harder, put comparisons down, and see what's gonna be best for us moving forward.
So is this like the total, the bottom number?
It is. So,
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Is that 8,545, is that included with the first annual
it is,
renewal?
yeah.
That's included. So that's not on top of it, but that's included with the
Yeah.
5,450.
And then the recurring will be 5450.
Yeah, every year after that.
Is that money, Mr. Chairman, is it, when you talk about annually, is that something that we know that's coming in every year that will pay back?
There again, that's kind of what we wanted to make sure, before we lock into this. I want to make sure that, this is going to be the best, and we have actually we would have that in our budget now.
Okay.
But, you know, if we found something that was a little bit cheaper, maybe we could free up more money to put either in the shelter, to the training, for the animals, you know, more care for the animals.
Well, this is Shelter Pro software, so I mean, it should be the,
It's the elite.
yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So if that's, obviously we'll leave it up to y'all, but if that's all right, we'll table this till our next meeting. And, that'll give me 2 more weeks to really dig in and put the comparisons up.
Sounds good to me.
Good with that?
I'm in agreement with it.
Okay. Anybody make a motion on that? Okay. So I'll make a motion that we table, buying any software equipment for Fannin County Animal Control until our next regular meeting.
Second motion.
All in favor? Okay, number 5, Fannin County Fire Chief Larry Thomas.
Notes and pictures, no. No, he was smart.
Commissioner Patterson, Commissioner
He-
Searcy.
Yeah.
There you go,
yeah.
sir.
Now I'm Commissioner Searcy, yeah. Okay.
I guess I'll start with bad news first.
I would.
Okay. You go with that?
Yeah, go by.
No, the bad news is we've got some upgrades that we need to do to Station 5. Jamie and I have been working on this, help me out here. If I get to stumbling, I do like to talk. Everybody knows that. Sometimes I say a little too much.
Like a while ago.
No.
Hey, just pick up a little bit. Pull that thing around to you just a little bit more where everybody can hear you a little bit better.
Thank you. I have to get closer.
Yeah, go around to the side there if you will.
I think it's gonna make me too loud.
That's
You're good.
No,
You're good.
I love that.
That's good. Is that good?
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
good.
But anyway, a little bad news first. We do need to do some upgrades on Station 5. But Station 5 being on a somewhat leased property, it started years ago, way back, when Dr. Walrath owned the property. In fact, I went for several years after he had made that 1 acre tract there. I thought it was ours until we had to sign off on a statement saying that it was kind of like it's yours as long as you want it for the fire department. But since he had sold, it's changed hands and we're kind of restricted on what we can do with the station. But it kind of got me looking around out there. And the neighbor across the road, Rodney Harris, has chose to sell us an acre of land for $8,000, which borders Mobile Road, not Mobile, Moldova Road, and Queen Road. Which, with the upgrades, it would just be like more or less tearing this old station down and rebuilding it. I mean, that's how far gone this station is. The station's never had any plumbing in it. Plumbing as far as indoor water, anything like that. The closest it's got to water is a hydrant next to the parking lot.
You don't even have a bathroom or
No,
nothing?
sir. It's just been a two-bay station since the station was built. But it was built back, way back in the nineties, so,
And that's 1.4 acres
yes, sir.
for that.
And
I
that's
just want to make sure on that.
what we
There, that's
had
right.
actually, Candace and I got together. We hadn't had a legal survey done of it, but we took a picture out to keep up with. And I actually spoke to Mr. Harris about it, and he wanted to go ahead and sell us the property for that. And I was kind of worried that maybe it would be in the ballpark of,
So Larry, according to this right here, where is the property that we're at right now? Is it,
just on up the road a little bit, past that.
so you're coming back down toward the intersection?
Yes, we are.
So that's gonna actually help those
Yes.
folks on their ISO and stuff.
Well, it's not, it shouldn't change the ISO much, but if it does, it's not, we're talking less than a quarter of a mile. So it shouldn't affect it in no way.
But the county will, so this is,
We got to have the station in that area
yeah, I know.
for the trucks. Not only that, by rebuilding and remodeling, if we could get by with rebuilding and remodeling, it'd be like they're tearing it down and then building it all up new. But we do need to have maybe a fire crew within the next 10-year stage, or actually housed in that area out there.
But now, if you go to having one house there, won't you have to have plumbing in?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I think anything we redo, you probably have to have some kind of plumbing in it.
It's 1.4.
Chief,
Okay.
so you met with the fellow, and he said that he would, is that lot 1.4, is that big enough?
Yes, I do believe it will be. In fact, I've met with land development and talked to them about it, and it will be plenty big enough for a septic system and all that on it as well.
So you got, is that county water, or is that our
Big
city?
city in the case of water.
Okay.
And you want to build it, when we finally get it all done, for 4 bays, which is 2 more than we have right now, which is gonna
That's
give us room to
correct.
grow.
That's correct, if we
Yeah,
ever
the
want to
ambulance.
put an ambulance.
Ambulance out there,
Yes, sir.
right, which would be a lot better for the
The
citizens.
4-bay station, we've got 2 trucks out there now, which is needed in that area. That's a Class A pumper and a tanker that supports that pumper. And as far as a rescue truck or a squad, is what we're calling our full-time folks now. We've got 1 squad stationed at Station 1 now. And if we ever get another squad or hire some more on, that area or the mineral area would be the next place to place the next squad. As far as the number of calls, both the west side and the east
We
side.
got, yeah, you got west and east, and so there are a lot of populated areas over on both sides.
They are.
But I didn't know, I thought we owned the property at where that was at, but I'm all, Mr. Chair, that's, so you've, bottom dollar's $8,000
Yes,
bucks.
sir. And that's
That's a
below
great-
fire
that's a
market
great
value.
price.
Yeah,
That's a great
I'm,
price.
okay.
It's just looking forward into the future, and hopefully not too far into the future, that we can make something like this happen, because like we talked about earlier, we know the county's growing, and our services, obviously, we gotta get the people to run them first. But this will be something for us looking
Yeah.
forward
I
to
agree.
start that growth on our end.
Yes, sir.
So,
You got your blueprints laid out on the type of building and everything that you want?
Yeah, but I would like to say it'd be like the one that we're in now, red iron building, but no, not that big, no. We're talking 4 bays,
Yeah,
a sleeping quarter, a day room area, something similar to Station 11. 11 is a red iron building
yeah,
with the inside built out.
so it's a
and-
metal building with a,
Yes, sir.
okay. Okay, yeah. What that cost you?
Well, as far as looking into it, I've just got as far as the layouts. I hadn't went really into the pricing. We do have some local suppliers here that actually build them. Even the gentleman that built Station 11 for us, I asked him about still building, and I think I could still get him interested in building here.
Okay.
So,
So I guess the first thing you're asking us to do is
approve the
for
property.
property.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'm fine with it.
Mr. Patterson?
Yes, sir, I'm fine. No problem.
I'll ask for a motion that we buy 1.414 acres, off Modola Road and Queen Road from Mr. Harris. I'll make that motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right. I think that's a step in the right direction, so hopefully we can make it happen.
Commissioner Patterson, Commissioner Searcy, I really do appreciate
Well, I
that.
bet you do, yeah. We appreciate you too.
Use the survey?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
If that's okay, I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with the, survey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Thomas, while you're up here, do you have any other things you want to tell us about the fire department and how things are going?
Well, I'm still looking forward, and this will be an ISO update, I'm still looking forward to getting our clearance next month, actually. It's when they would actually present it as to ISO presenting us back with a 5/5X. That's where we should have been all along. And I'm not gonna throw blame at nobody, not myself or not them either, but there was some stuff that was overlooked. And right before I was scheduled for my heart surgery last year, I got all that knocked out in that week, just prior to going to Atlanta to have my surgery. And after I got back, that's when he actually said that he had enough that would bring us back to a 5. And this was with the stuff that I seen him. But in addition to some of the stuff that we've had to add to, like the pump test, as far as issuing that out, and the hose testing. That was 2 big marks there. And then the training being kept up with in a timely manner. So,
Didn't you also have issues with another station down toward McKay's?
in the case, I know Mineral Bluff might be our next hit, or the addition of another station out next to the hospital. Now, that addition of that new station around the hospital is gonna help a lot of people out as far as the protection class. It's gonna bring them out of the non-protected area to a protected area. Even though they're a 10, in the area of a 10, PC 10, it'll bring them into a 5/5X
Okay.
by having a fire station within 5 road miles.
How about our fire hydrants? How are they? I know we were working on updating and trying to get them all right colors and all that stuff, and making sure that some of our ones that were, he did repair,
Yes, sir.
got repaired. How's that?
But that's come a long ways, and that needed repair list has went to that.
I mean,
So-
do we still have that needs repair?
Well, as far as needing repair, there's not that many, maybe 1 or 2. There's 1 or 2 that haven't been replaced, that need replaced, but we're just waiting for the cities to replace them, so.
Is that group at the, where the commissioners give you those extra people, or they, is that part of the detail that's maintaining all
Yes,
this?
sir. Yeah, that is, in fact, that's their #1 chore, first and most, right after the weather breaks, to where they can actually spill a little water out there, and that's how.
Because we get graded on those, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And just for the record, I want everybody to know that property will be bought out of public safety funds. I just want everybody to know that. I forgot to mention that, my bad. Thank you. Yeah. So, one other thing, I know it requires manpower, but you're talking about the pump test and the hose test.
Yes, sir.
Do we have the manpower to do that, to make it part of that training?
Right
Part of
now-
a training?
Right now, I'd have to say no, we don't. It would actually work 2 people to death. as far as the number of hoses that we've got. We've got 30,000 plus feet of hose. I know these guys that come up here, that's all they do, day in and day out, and they've got the little mechanisms that makes it look slick and easy to do. But yeah, it takes all four of them, all they can do just to get through it. It takes a good week to get four of them, just working on that from daylight to dark, just to get them done.
So 2 weeks for two.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Good.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Chief.
Number 6, we have Director of Fannin County Development Authority, Christy Gribble. Talk about the grant for Green Creek Trail Project. Ms. Gribble,
Yes,
need us to move?
don't move yet, it doesn't look like my PDF is loading, give me, oh, there it is, okay, yes, if you will. turn it
So you get them live? I'm good. Thank you, sir.
So, talking to you tonight about a grant for the Green Creek Trail, and I'll give you some history. So the trail that I'm referencing is just near the boat launch on Dry Branch. We all call it Green Creek. Nobody really knows why. I think there's some history. But it's actually the Lake Blue Ridge Day Use area that used to be a campground, and it was decommissioned several years back. So this grant project is specifically for a specific loop within that former campground. So history of why I'm even talking to you about this. Back in 2017, the prior administration was approached by the Forest Service to go after a grant to make this area accessible to people with disabilities. So it would be improvements to the trail and make it accessible. The grant goes through RTP, Recreational Trails Program. It's federal money. It's very competitive. It's a 2-year cycle. You can go after a maximum of $200,000, and there has to be a match, etc. I'll get into the numbers later. But I spent a good amount of time working on this grant for Fannin County back in 2017 in partnership with the Forest Service. And the county decided not to proceed then because of a priority for Horseshoe Bend. So we picked it back up. I believe Forest Service maybe mentioned something to Jamie, picked it back up. I will say I'm really glad that we did not submit an application in 2017 because it needed a lot of beefing up to make it a really good grant application. So it's going to be a really good grant application. So what I'm ultimately asking for today is for the grant would go through the county, not through the Development Authority, but for the county to pass a resolution to proceed with the grant. So I'm going to get into a few things that are specific to what the grant would pay for, et cetera, and I have some pictures. So is everybody clear on what the location is? And so to clarify, you turn into the former campground area. If you go to the left, there's a whole lot of parking and there's a little bit of lake access. We're actually not talking about that lake access area. We're talking about to the right, there's a gate where the loops are, old asphalt roads for the campground. Okay.
How long are those loops?
The one that we are talking specifically about for this grant is a 1 mile loop. The others are a little bit shorter and I don't have the exact.
Well, there's 3?
I believe there are 3. My map may show. Gives you just a visual of the area. And so the the grant would essentially improve and make accessible this outer loop that's 1 mile. So there are some additional paths within that we are not including within this grant. So within the grant, we're asking for improving the kiosk at the trailhead. We would need to make it accessible by having ramps at certain areas where the slope and the grade are too high for somebody that may be in a wheelchair. And the details and technicalities of what that will actually look like and the specific costs would be determined later on. This is just the first round of the grant application. So basically you go after the full amount of the grant, and then you dig into the actual architectural plans and get the details.
There's gonna be handicap, those trails have to be hard topped, right? We're looking at gravel or hard top?
So this is actually asphalt already, and then certain areas would have to have a ramp that would be wood or metal with railing.
Okay.
Just a few more pictures of the trail. This one right here with an arrow, that's a potential area. We haven't determined the exact location, but as part of the grant, there's going to be a viewing area with a picnic table, and the picnic table would be accessible to wheelchairs. And I do want to add, this would be an additional, in a sense, public lake access point. You can't necessarily get down to the lake, but you have access to view the lake. Another location is the dam property, which also has a ramp and picnic tables. So it would be a nice addition for the community and people that are handicapped. So before I get into the timeline, a few more things would be adding some signage, so specific signage. A maintenance plan, and right now the road department and recreation department are collaborating on maintaining that property. So the maintenance plan would add a little bit more maintenance within the trailhead, so past that gate, and just keeping it in good condition. It stays pretty well kept. There are some trees, Zach and I were talking about it today. It's not as easy to go out and clear trees because the Forest Service ultimately is supposed to do that, but blowing off leaves, different things like that. So I was out there today and it didn't see much trash, and it's pretty well used. So the timeline, the grant application is due November 1st. That's the first round of applications. We would be invited back if the granting agency chooses to bring us back. We'd be invited for a second round of applications in February. Those would be due March 31st of next year. And then grants would be awarded in the fall of 2022. So we're talking down the road a little bit. And then I'm going to talk about money. So I mentioned the maximum grant amount would be $200,000. There's a 20% required match. I'm suggesting that we put in $50,000 in this grant application, so we commit to $50,000. That's slightly over 20%. It is a reimbursement grant, so ultimately the county would need to budget for the full amount in the 2023 budget year, and then you get reimbursed up to the $200,000. Does that make sense? Have you done reimbursement grants before? No? Have you? Okay. You front the money and then you have to document.
How much are you telling us we have to front?
What?
The total?
Total,
amount?
250, and then you get 200 back.
So would that money come from SPOS? Could it come from tourism product development money?
It could.
Okay.
That fits in within the product development's restrictions.
Okay.
I think that could be up to you guys.
And this is a total reimbursement?
No.
If we don't get the grant, we get our money back?
Correct. We don't, if we don't get the grant, we don't do anything. We don't spend any money until we get the grant.
And we would get everything back but 50,000 is what we'd get. That would be our portion to put into it, would be 50,000 if I'm
That's correct.
hearing that right.
But we just, as the county, would have to be prepared to
Budget that money.
to spend the 250,000, because with grants like this, you have to send in your invoices, goes through a process. You get your money back, but it's time. I don't want to say it's timely. It's just a process.
How long does it take normally to get the money back?
It depends. I've never done one with the recreational trails program.
So we need that 250,000 by the fall, is that,
Um,
when is it due? When's the 250, when is, do we pay?
So the grant would be
Yes.
awarded in the fall of 2022, so that's next fall.
Right.
We don't do anything until after we get the grant awarded to us.
So we wouldn't have to pay till
then we
then.
start spending money.
Yeah,
And it may not be a full, like, write a check for 250,000. You probably, pay for construction as it goes, and then you submit those invoices, get your money back.
We probably could use in-kind, like with the road department, and we just have to document the man-hours spent to, and what that is equivalent to as far as dollars.
Well,
Yeah.
can I just ask let me ask you something. So we're wanting to seek a grant because we're hoping, to get Green Creek Campground where we can open it?
No.
Well, then what are we doing?
We're
Why are we seeking a $200,000 grant?
To improve the trail and make it accessible to people with disabilities.
But this is a Forest Service property, correct?
It is a Forest Service property,
Well, then why don't the Forest Service fix it?
because the Forest Service
Forest
does
Service
not
is
have
not
the
going to
funding
do
and
that.
the manpower to do it.
So we have to spend money to get money to fix somebody else's problem.
Well, I don't see it that way, but
Well, I mean, just help me understand it's what I'm trying to do. I'm just I'm out here, I'm just wanting to know.
So, Forest Service has a cost share agreement with the county that actually needs to be renewed, and County Tipton's working on it. So basically, it says that the county can maintain and make improvements to the property. And I'll tell you my opinion on it, and I understand the question. It is Forest Service property, but it's also an asset to Fannin County. It's a well-used trail. I think it could be a great improvement. It could offer an opportunity for people who may not have a place to go see the lake. So I don't know, Jamie, if you've had any other interactions with Forest Service related to doing work on their property.
I have not.
Okay.
But now, you said something there about renewing the contract, renewing the service contract or something, like the cost share contract, right? How long have we had a contract with the Forest Service in regards to that?
In 2017, there was one that went into place when we started talking about this project.
So it went into effect in 2017. Was the hopes there of, at some point in time, maybe Green Creek maybe getting Green Creek open?
The campground?
Yeah.
No.
That was never in the works thing? Okay. Getting
Getting the campground rehabbed, from what I understand from Forest Service, so I say rehab, brought back up to campground ability is an extremely lengthy process. And there has not been too much conversation about it. So this is not related to the campground.
Yeah, well, I was thinking what a waste that was. I mean, I understand the funds and the manpower and things like that, but, what an ideal location, especially in Fannin County, that give, I don't know how many camping spots was there, but there were several camping spots at one point in time that, a lot of folks enjoyed for many years, you know.
About 32,
And,
something like that.
yeah, there were several, but, I just think in today's time when everybody's getting out and about, it looks like somebody would take another look at that. That's just my opinion, so.
Well, it may be a step in the right direction, as a relationship issue that we,
It's, it's a good-
partner together. It's a partnership.
yep. It's a good partnership with the Forest Service. There have been similar projects, I believe, in Union County. I can't think of the exact trail, partnerships with the Forest Service. I encourage you to go out and look. I will say we need to kind of vet out any issues today, and I can't speak for Forest Service, but the grant application is due November 1st, so if the county does not, I need to drop it if the county doesn't want to proceed with it.
2 weeks, in other words.
Yeah.
Would that be something similar to what Mr. Searcy spoke about a while ago about the campground, similar to Poteet Creek being?
That's what it is, Poteet Creek.
Okay.
Yep, that's Union County.
Yeah, it is, but doing something like that here, is that what?
That's what I was under the impression. I mean, people want to come see the lake. There's so many attractions in Fannin County, but I mean, we're going to spend, this is where I'm at. So we're going to spend money to fix something for the Forest Service, who's the United States Forest Service. So we're going to fix their trail so people can come walk on it to see the lake. And I understand what Mr. Patterson's saying about relationships, but I just don't see how, for me, it's like, I want to open the campground, just like Union County's done, and I don't see how, I mean,
It's not being stepped in that direction.
well, I think we need to make a phone call first before we start spending money, just to spend money to see if it hypothetically is gonna do something. I mean, I don't know. I just need to look at this. I don't know.
Remember, Mr. Searcy, this is a reimbursement grant. We're gonna get
Yeah, but you're
reimbursed
still gonna lose $50,000 bucks.
$50,000
Well, you're
bucks.
not
That's a lot of
losing,
money.
you're
But-
investing.
Yeah, I think so, because
$50,000 is $50,000.
I mean, that's what the board, Mr. Searcy.
Ma'am.
Mr. Searcy, one thing is that at this point in time, it's a commitment if the grant is awarded. And it's a process, so having had the privilege of working with the Forest Service as it relates to Fannin County for over 30 years, so if the Board of Commissioners says to Ms. Gribble, go ahead and start this grant. Presume you get it awarded, then you can make a decision, are we going forward or not? If you don't apply, you're never going to get the money. And I know that it was a very long process to get the Forest Service to say, you can have Green Creek back, the day use area. And then all of a sudden one day, they reached out and Mr. Ratcliffe and his guys were over there cleaning up as fast as they could because it was like the right stars aligned, you got the right person in there, and they said yes, and we were in a position to act on it. And one way or the other, this road, we've all been out there, that little road that goes through there will have to be updated before you could ever even have campgrounds back in there again. And there are a tremendous number of our citizens that go out there every day and walk.
But we're gonna ask for a grant to spend $200,000 on a trail, correct?
A road, yes, but it's more than just a trail, because it will have to be paved and it will have to be handicap accessible.
No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be repaved. The asphalt's in great condition right now.
I'm sorry, what I meant was, it's not just a wooded trail, because it has to be handicap accessible, it has to be a paved trail. And in our case, the trail's there.
So in other words, what you're telling me, that and I don't know how to word this so what you're saying is that the only thing that we're doing is, we're benefiting our citizens by doing this, not the county per se, right? Not the county itself. We're just helping our citizens.
It would benefit the citizens, it would benefit the tourists, and the wonderful thing is, because we now have this pot of money that is restricted to tourism product development, this is a great use for that money.
It is, but let me clarify a few things. So the trail, the 1 mile outer loop, is asphalt paved, right? It was the old road for the campground. Improvements would be some ramps in certain areas that would allow somebody in a wheelchair or other handicap to be able to use this trail.
Okay.
Within the grant, we're asking for a few benches, a viewing area with a picnic table. So it makes it a little bit more usable and for everybody. That's the goal. It's usable for everybody.
More attractive.
Yeah. So I wanted to clarify the pieces of that. And I will say that in 2017, there was a lot of work that went into it, and we stopped. We dropped it at the very last minute. And I would say it would falter our relationship with Forest Service if we decided to drop it again. If it would help to have a conversation with Towdy, Commissioner Cersei, I would recommend that. I don't want to proceed too much down the road if this is not something that the county is in favor of.
I just hope you understand where I'm coming from. I just need clarity, and I think I understand what Ms. Dawson you're saying. I understand it. Mr. Chairman, where'd you say the funds would come from?
Mention the 20%.
20%.
Tourism product development. Possible.
It could,
right?
yeah.
It could.
I mean, it seems like a good use of those funds, which I don't have the exact number, but there was quite a bit that came in this year. I don't know, do you have that number from product development funds?
I don't right
Okay.
now. But I know we
Well, it's
spent,
well over 50,000.
some of it for ADA compliant equipment down there
Yeah.
as well, within
Yeah.
the parks or the recs. Of course, you've been, and that was where that came from as well.
Got a question in the back.
Yeah, so would they be able to have some camping spots similar to Poteet Creek where they can have campers come in there, pay a certain fee to stay for a few days or whatever?
I know it sounds simple, and I don't know the technicalities of opening or reopening a campground, but with the federal government and the Forest Service to try to redo that, the answer I'm getting is it's not gonna be easy, which means it's not gonna be timely.
But there's a lot of people that goes camping, and just like myself, and our family, and Johnny, they go to Poteet Creek, and it's a pretty good camping spot. They got some several good camping spots that you can camp in.
Well, they stay full, and you also have the beach, and you have all kind of people comes up there to the beach, and, picnics and swims,
Boat ramp.
and, yeah.
And that's an agreement between Union County and the Forest Service, right?
I believe that would need to be clarified with Towdy.
All right.
Okay.
Well, it looks like maybe Fannin County could get an agreement with the Forest Service too, because it benefit us and the Forest Service.
And I think that's what the overall goal is. You know, administrations change in DC. There's a lag time between when they change and Congress reacts. By the time it filters down to us, several years could have passed. And so, to the extent that the county wants to seek reopening that, you gotta start the road because it's
Well,
gonna take some time.
I would really, if that's the goal of the county, I would recommend that each commissioner talk to Tally Tipton and hear from her the possibility of reopening that as a campground, because if it's reopened as a campground, if there's a possibility, this grant says that we have to keep that trail active for 25 years, and I don't know that we could do that if it's a campground. I don't know.
For example, up at Poteet Creek, they've been walking around the trail there the whole time, and it's passable by car. So I don't see a whole lot of changes would be there myself.
It's much more complicated, from what I understand from Forest Service.
They make it a little complicated.
They sure
dealing
do.
with government. That's what the problem is.
Thank you, Chris.
But there's a lot of that, if I may speak, on the tourism, on this lodging tax money, that 8%, I presume is what y'all are calling the project, tourism project money, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, I've looked at the chart, and I'm projecting that perhaps there's going to be between $4 and $5 million coming into our county in 2021 in lodging tax monies. And you figure the 8% of that, if the county would please keep that in their coffers as opposed to handing it over to other groups, that would equate to $320,000. So it seems to me there's going to be plenty of money to do this or other projects with. $320,000 is a lot for a tourism project development fund, in my opinion. So I don't think the money should be a problem, shouldn't be, if we keep the money within the county.
Could
Yeah, exactly.
if anybody has not visited that during the day, even through the week, you need to see it. It's unbelievable that the traffic is there.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, I think there's 25 spaces out there maybe in the outer perimeter out there, and to park. And those things are normally filled. They'll park on the side of the road, they'll park on the side of the drive range. And I've been out there trying to work, you can't. You have to go early in the morning.
I put a QR code out there in September, asking people to fill out like a 2-3 question survey. And we've gotten over 100 responses. I haven't delved into the exact percentage, but it's a good mix of visitors and locals. I actually believe there's more locals who have filled out the survey that they use the trail for walking, for riding bikes, for walking their dogs. I think it would be well received by the community. I know there's an interest in the campground, but that is beyond what I'm capable of telling you today. And that's a very long-term project if the county wants to try to pursue that.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Scribble, anything else?
If we want to proceed with the grant, we have to have a resolution, which I believe you all have in your packets.
So in other words, you want us to vote on it tonight?
If we table this,
Uh-huh.
we just would need to get something before, really ultimately before October 31st. So might need to be a called meeting, or you have one more meeting before the end of the month?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you would be more comfortable, in having some additional conversations or going out there, I can go out there with you, kind of see things in action, we can wait.
What would be the chance of getting the Forest Service come in here to one of these meetings and explain what can be done, what can't be done, and some suggestions on their part, maybe?
Possibility.
Can kind of coordinate them together. Put the lights on.
Yeah, that's it.
So, I guess the question is now is, do y'all want 2 weeks to go out and take a look at Green Creek and maybe get in touch with Miss Tiffin? Kind of go around a little bit more as far as thoughts moving forward?
Go ahead, Coach.
Put you on the spot there then.
No, I'm fine.
I think it's a good investment. I think it would be paying for itself in the long run with our citizens' enjoyment and the tourists. That would help us with that. Mr. Ratcliffe said it's covered up, a lot of people use it. That being said, I'm open to listen to what you fellas would like to say. What your thoughts on it are.
Well, I mean, I'll just say this, if there's some uncertainty, I mean, one way or another, if you're for it or against it, if there's some uncertainty, and we still have a little bit of time after the 26th to make this happen, that'll give you 2 weeks. Tax and make contact with Ms. Tiffin and go out there and look at it for yourself, you know, during some different times. So if there's any uncertainty, one way or another, if you're dead set against, if not set against it or not set for it or whatever, this would give us time to make that happen. So,
I think it would be good. I think somebody back in the back suggested that she be with us at that time, or we could walk together and ask questions of
set
her.
to- and could she pick us up one at a time and walk around? That way we won't get in trouble.
Or get a group or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Make sure we don't talk. Would y'all be more comfortable with that?
Yeah.
I would.
So, make a motion to do that too? Okay. I'll make a motion, we table the resolution, for the Green Creek Trail project until, the 26th, our next regular meeting on the 26th. And that will give us an opportunity to get with Ms. Tipton and look at things a little bit larger, a little bit farther down the road. So I'll make that motion.
I say.
All in favor? Okay. Brings us up to public commentary. Anybody would like to come up and speak? Raise your hand, come on up, and we'll go from there. Let's see.
My name is Jan Eaton, and I would like to make a formal request that Fannin County Animal Control begin its own Fannin County Animal Control Facebook page, which would feature the animals who are located at the shelter on any given day. It's very difficult now to ever see pictures of what is available there. I'm in rescue and work with a lot of different animal controls, and they make it very easy. So therefore, I pull a lot of dogs from a lot of other counties. I've got some coming from Polk County, Georgia, and I've got one at my house from Clayton County Animal Control, different animal controls, because they make the pictures very readily available. And today I so happened to see a post that Jamie Pittman, who is a wonderful volunteer for the animals, had posted on another page that's not even a local page of puppies that are at Fannin. So just for the record, I went on the volunteers page, and the volunteers, it shouldn't be their responsibility. They do what they can do, but it should not, in my opinion, be their responsibility. It's the county's responsibility. And I could not find the pictures of these puppies even on the volunteers page. So I'm going to probably pull those puppies if no one else has stepped up by in the morning, and they're pitiful. I'm not in there cherry picking and trying to pick the cute ones, because that's not my style. Try to take the ones the neediest, and they're pretty sad looking, to be honest. I haven't seen them yet in person. But I think it's time that Fannin County Animal Control has a Fannin County Animal Control Facebook page. It would be lovely if they could also have a website, so that at the end of every day, every animal that is there can be pictured. So if you lose your dog, or you lose yours, or you lose yours, all you got to do is go to that Facebook page, that website, see who is there. So you'll know if your dog is there or not. It might make for quicker returns of owned animals to their owners, and it would kind of expedite all of that. It's just my suggestion. We've been at this a long time, and I just think we're dropping the ball when we don't feature the animals that are there. I see complaints that we're full, help, 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 but it's difficult from my standpoint to be able to help if I don't know what's there, unless I can get in the car. I live here, I could get in the car and go there, but people, all these rescue groups across the state of Georgia, they can't get in the car and drive over there and see what's there. And those are our helpers. Those are the ones who don't help empty that shelter. So, just my opinion for whatever it's worth, and thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, we'll close public commentary. Gentlemen, that brings us to executive session. I have a need for it myself, so I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Second.
All in favor? Make a motion we come out of executive session.
Second motion.
All in favor? While in executive session, we discussed property, no action taken. We discussed deferred compensation with the American Rescue Plan, no action taken. I will make a motion that we use the American Rescue Plan funds for deferred compensation in the amount of $3,000 for every full-time employee, $500 for part-time employees, and $250 for part-time firefighters who are active.
I second that motion.
This will not be for elected officials, unfortunately. And any elected official that doesn't want to give this amount to their employees must let the Board of Commissioners know in writing by October the 31st, 2021. And I'll make that motion.
I second.
All in favor? Okay. That being said, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Let's go to the house.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank y'all.